Good morning, Magic players. Welcome to the morning show where we discuss all things Magic the Gathering. Get ready for Q&A and Magic discussion. Get your questions lined up and let's have a great morning. Also, we do Decklist review. So if you've got a 75 you need some feedback on, you want to change up you want to add a color, you want to reduce a color, you're trying to make the best out of a budget, submit it to us and both myself and the community will give you that feedback. So brew up that cup of coffee and let's brew up that magic. Welcome to Coffee and MTG for February 18th, 2021. I am your host, Nikachu, the Merfolk Master, and we are here for another wonderful morning. Every weekday of the week. I gotta have a break sometimes, people. Good morning, Steven. Good morning, basketball. Good morning, Andreas and Fraser, Anthony, MTG, Ectoplasm, Hawkburn, Jake Holder, Cithrone, Mikey J. Good morning to everyone. I hope everyone's excited for Modern. Apparently, there's a ton of excitement for Modern right now. People were really down at what was going on. The turn 2 kills, the turn 3 kills, the Uro piles all over the place. I have to admit, I was playing against Uro at least like 2 times every league. It was to a point it really honestly though felt like Splinter Twin. I get a sense that Uro was in some way a police to the format, and if you were to want to unban Splinter Twin, you might end up, although I don't know if it'd be as strong as it used to be, it would take on a similar role that Uro has today. It really felt like that sort of metagame back in the Twin days. Back in those Twin days. MTG Ectoplasm says, did you see the announcement about the future of White? No, I did not. If anyone has a link to that, or where do I find it? The future of White MTG. Verhey reveals the future of White in Magic formats. Is there going to be some video? Verhey reveals future of White in Magic formats by Danny Forster. Senior Magic the Gathering designer Gavin Verhey broke down several buffs the color White shall receive within future sets. What the fuck is this shit? Where's Blue's buff? Okay, so good morning, everyone. Good morning, okay, okay, afternoon, Magic. Today is a big one. I'm talking about White's color pie. I give you an unprecedented look into the future about our plan for White and some details on what's changing. You won't want to miss this. All right, let's go check it out, people. Let's go visit Gavin Verhey, a competing morning Magic channel. Let's go have some fun here. Yeah, because apparently they can't win with White in Commander, even though White is like the dominant mono color in all other competitive formats. In Modern, in Pioneer, in Legacy, they can hold its own because it's basically got all the good. Oh, you can't hear Gavin? Why can't you hear Gavin? You can't hear Gavin. I can hear Gavin. That sucks. Okay, we can't hear? Oh no. It would be wonderful. I'm going to do a response video to this later. But okay, so let's see if there's let's see if there's going to be a long story short here. That's too bad. I don't know why it's not picking up from here. Maybe it's to prevent people from... Well, here's a good question. Can you hear the music? Can you guys hear music? Just out of curiosity. I'm wondering, can you hear the music and not the video? I do have it on. I do have it on. At least I think I have it on. You can't hear music either. Okay, hold on. We're going to fix this in a second. Let's do this again. If you guys never hear music, you got to let me know in the morning. I play music every morning. Okay, how about now? Can you hear? Don't worry. I've got it enabled. I can see it. It's like I have screen audio on. Okay, you can hear the music now? Okay. Let's dive in then. We're going back. Oh, we don't need to go here.
and it's a very important topic. Good morning, Magic. I'm Gavin Verhey from Wizards of the Coast, and white in Magic's color pie has been a very hot topic in recent times, and it's a very important topic to me and everyone else on the Magic design team. So today I wanted to talk you through exactly what we've...
Is Merfolk important to all of you on the Magic design team? Because I don't know. Whatever. Let's move
been doing
on.
to help out white and give you an unprecedented look at what the future of white holds. Let's do it. In the last several years, we've all seen a huge surge of popularity in the Commander format. And as more and more people enter the format and are building new deck lists and refining deck lists and comparing notes, and as the format simply evolves, they've noticed a few things. And a big one is that white doesn't have the tools it needs. With usually 3 opponents at 40 life each, some of white's strengths in 60 card Magic don't scale well to Commander. And yes, there are decks like Stacks, which can be quite competitive, but not everyone wants to play against Stacks deck.
Okay, so you're telling me that white is competitive in 1v1, and there actually is a competitive Commander version of mono white, but you're still gonna buff it up because people are complaining that they don't want to play Stacks. I imagine there is some way to buff up like white by just saying like if you have 2 or more opponents, then you get like some special abilities. But anyway, I know this is just strictly a Commander thing.
We've heard this feedback, which sincerely, thank you all so much for sending in, and we agree. White needs more tools. So a design goal for 2020 across the whole design team was to find ways to give white those tools. So from vision design to play design to the Council of Colors and everywhere in between, we were all working on trying to come up with these tools and give white new tools that still preserved its unique identity across not just Commander, but all Magic formats. The Council of Colors, the design group at Wizards that is particularly focused on the color pie, has especially been working on this over the past year. And I want to give a big shout out to the white representative, Ari Nie, for all of his work on this topic.
Somehow I thought he was going to say Pleasant Kenobi. I don't know why. We got to thank Pleasant Kenobi for yelling about white being suppressed in Commander. Why is there no card draw in white? We got to give a shout out to Pleasant Kenobi for this one.
And also for helping me out with this video. Now, we make our sets really far in advance, but this is such an important topic, I wanted to tell all of you about it now. The only way for me to really do that is to give you an unprecedented look ahead at the future of Magic card design, which should be pretty cool. But there are 2 really important things I want to say before we get there. And if you're writing an article about this or making a post on Reddit, please get these 2 things in there. The first is that this is not inclusive of every single thing we are doing. There are going to be things like specific mechanics, for example, that I just can't talk about today. The second thing is, as a consequence of me telling you about this now so far in advance, that means you might not see it for a little while. So if it's not in the next set or the set after that, please trust that these things are coming. They just take a lot of time, and me telling you about them this far in advance means it's going to still take a while for them to get.
Yeah, it's hard to underestimate how lagged Magic is. A lot of people like, we want fetch lands, we want things fixed. They are working like 3 years ahead of us. So like if they like see people need fetch land reprints, it's not so quick for them to put them in like standard sets. It's like a little bit easier to put them in like modern masters that they can make within a year. But like 3 years ahead of time for their standard developments, it's like impossible.
To you. Let's start off though with one that you have already seen a little bit of in Kaldheim, and that's Flash. One of the first conclusions we came to is that we want white to have more flash. So going forward, you'll find it in similar volumes to Black's flash creatures. Let me tell you a little bit about why. First of all, we thought that either flash or haste would be really important for a color that relies mostly on creatures, because they counterplay sorcery speed interactions. Your opponent casts a Wrath, well, no problem, you can cast an end-step creature and attack with it on your next turn. Second of all, white's the color of combat tricks and defensive instants. But if you pass the turn and then don't need to cast them, you just wasted a bunch of mana and didn't develop your board. Flash creatures are perfect for solving that problem. And finally...
True story, actually. I mean, it's a huge beating if you're playing at sorcery speed. You really... I mean, that's why we have Aether Vial and Merfolk for the most part. So Flash will help in that regard.
A lot of epic plays in Magic come from responding to your opponents, so we just wanted to give white a bit more instant speed interaction in general. So while white has had a few flash creatures historically, you can expect to see more going forward. Alright, now let's go a little bit in the future with one that you haven't quite seen as much of yet, and that's white card draw. Let me be very clear. We think white needs more card draw. Yes, that's right.
That's right. We need to give every color card draw. Like blue, I think blue and black were typically the general card draw engines, and for some reason green snuck in there for no damn reason. Every color is going to have card draw soon. It's like just going to be a generic thing. Or I mean, I don't know how to give them card advantage. Like red has card advantage without actual card draw. They like exile the cards and they can still use the cards, or they can exile the top card of their library. I don't know, it feels a bit weird. I understand they need card advantage, but they're like basically watering down what little blue had for themselves in the first place.
Let me say it again. We think white needs more card draw. Now, we're not just going to print white divination and call it a day. We're looking to give white ways to draw cards in ways that feel uniquely white, kind of like how impulsive draw feels uniquely red. And to that end, here are a few ways that we're trying. First of all, there's symmetric draw. Me and one other player each draws some number of cards, and this plays particularly well in multiplayer. You've seen this before on a card like Farsight Adept, but it could be done for more than just one card. Second, there's rule setting draw. Since white can make rules, it also makes sense that if your opponent breaks those rules, you can draw a card. Third, there are cards that don't literally say the word draw on them, but get you cards back from your graveyard or out of your library. Now, we've done these in the past, but we're going to keep pushing forward in this space. You'll see experiment.
Yeah, that bring cards back from the graveyard stuff, they all suck. They're terrible. They're clunky. Maybe they're fine for Commander, but obviously they're not like breaking through or anything like that. So white could be like a lot better with, like, even for something like Sun Titan, you need 6 mana to bring a 3-drop from your graveyard to the battlefield. Give me a break. Mutual card draw. Well, but like blue has that anyway with like Time Twister and stuff like that. So I don't think it's too bad.
In all 3 of these areas in the coming months. But once again, I want to stress these are not the only things we are doing. There's other things you'll see in the next year or two to come. Now let's talk about ramp. While card draw is priority number 1 of the 2 because ramp has so many colorless options white decks can already play, it's still very much on our mind to give white some ramp cards. More mana is a powerful thing, and white should have some unique tools of its own. There are 3 main ways we're working on white ramp right now. The first is catch-up ramp, giving you a land if an opponent has more lands than you. And you've seen some of this in the past with cards like Keeper of the Accord. That card has played out pretty well.
That is a really old school white effect. You know, like what is it called? Mana tax? No, land tax. Well, maybe land tax is not exactly the same thing. Where you can get more. I mean, land tax is a thing where if your opponent has more lands than you can like look for 3 lands from your deck. Tithe? Is it mana tithe? What's the? I think it's land tax. Yeah, I think it's land tax where you like dig your deck for lands and give yourself at least a consistent land drop every single turn compared to your opponents. But as the beginning of end step, if that player controls more creatures at the beginning of end step, if that player controls more lands, then you may search your library for a basic plains card put onto the battlefield tapped. Like that is a pretty good idea. I think that is definitely a white thing that they should explore. But so far there's like a lot of old white abilities that they should just buff and explore even further. I can totally agree with that. I don't mind the symmetrical card draw. That seems like a way of giving white card draw without them getting too broken. Like black, green, and blue have like dedicated personal card draw. No one card draw only for them, but not anyone else. Anyway, this is some interesting developments.
And we think this is a great space for white to play in, and we'll do more like it in the future. Second, there's what we call the Sun Titan effect. Since white can reanimate any permanent type, it also stands to reason just fine that white can reanimate lands from your graveyard. And finally, for number 3, there's treasure production cards. Right now, you mostly know this as Smothering Tithe, but white could be doing more of this in the future. It's not going to do it super often, but it can do it, especially by taxing your opponents. There will be new cards in all 3 of these avenues over the next year, and we're also discussing some other options for the future. One other big thing we've taken away from recent feedback is that we could be a lot better about identifying cards in other colors, which could be powerful tools for white. So now as we're working on sets and reviewing files, we'll often ask ourselves the question, could this card be white? And quite often, with a small tweak, the answer is yes. And then we can...
They're going to take our blue cards away. They're going to take our... Look, the whole breacher is already gone. They're going to take our blue... Anything that's going to be a merfolk is just going to look like a better white card.
Make that tweak and switch it into white. And also, although it won't happen that often, we're also willing to imbalance the number of colored cards in our pre-constructed decks to give white more tools. So now let's talk about timelines. If this was a design goal for last year, how long until some of this stuff starts making it out into the world? And yeah, it takes a long time to make a Magic set because it's not just the card design, which takes a long time on its own. But keep in mind there's all the editing, templating, art, flavor text, creative, Magic Online programming, arena programming, production, distribution, trying out all the new booster fun frames, all this stuff all adds into the time it takes to make a Magic set. For example, we just released Kaldheim, and the last set design meeting for Kaldheim was in 2019. Of course, it wasn't just last year. We started working on some of this stuff a little bit earlier, too. So the end result of all of this is over the next 12 months, you'll start to see a lot of cards in these categories that I talked about roll out. Some you already have, like Flash and Kaldheim. In Strixhaven, you'll see a few more fun things. And then over the course of the next year, expect to see a lot more cards in these categories. And some other things you'll see even later than that. After all, we're always evolving what we're doing based on what's happening with the cards that we're releasing and also the feedback that you're giving to us. If I could snap my fingers and get these into a previous Magic set and into your hands, I totally would. But given our timelines, it's just going to take a little bit longer, and I really appreciate your patience as we wait for them, and I cannot wait for you to see what all of these cards do. And finally, I really want to say thank you for all of your feedback, and especially all of the content creators who have been leading the charge on this front on social media, like Pleasant Kenobi, Kristen Emily, and Cube April. Thank you so much for everything, and I really hope we can make some cards.
The Pleasant Kenobi shout out.
That'll do you proud. So let's keep that feedback cycle rolling, and if you have any thoughts on this video or white in general, leave them in the comments down below. I'll talk with you again on Friday, and in the meantime, may you have a lot of fun playing with your favorite color. You got this. The design team for Mirage had a lot of small effects.
Interesting developments. Interesting developments. Okay, so my initial thoughts. They better not make white OP. Like, okay, they want to buff up white in Commander, completely ignoring the fact that white is already hands down, bar none, the absolute strongest monocolor archetype in constructed 1v1 formats. No other color compares across the board, even going as deep as Legacy in the monocolor realm as mono white is. So if they buff up these cards, they better be only limited to Commander. But if we've seen what they've been doing, like over the last, year or so, even cards that look really big and clunky end up seeing playing constructed formats. So I imagine they've maybe even doubled the power level of the mono white deck in Pioneer, in Modern, and in Legacy. We're gonna have to see how these cards play out. But I mean, it appears that they've completely ignored constructed formats in favor of like Commander. Hopefully that's not the case. Or at the very least, if they're changing the identity for white, and by the way, I like some of these changes. They should explore a lot of things that were interesting for white, but they're just not good. They should push them a little bit more. I think they should change the identity for blue as well. The problem with that is they're like really scared to like improve control decks beyond what they already are. Yeah, where's our blue? Well, we might have a blue sky. You know what? Do you know what? Skyclave Apparition seems like way more of a blue card, because whenever blue exiles, it leaves bodies usually. That seems like a bluish card, except you don't get the you don't get the body immediately. It's delayed until you kill the thing. Yeah, where's our blue Skyclave Apparition? So interesting developments. White is going to get what they want, hopefully, without tearing apart the 1v1 formats. I gotta make some response video to this. Interesting stuff. All right, I might have missed a bunch of comments while we were watching, but Maelstrom, spoiler alert, Strixhaven's is a mono white set. They could do that would be an interesting. Well, it'd probably be really bad for marketing, but they have like a mono white set, mono red, mono black, mono blue, mono green. So anyway, if apparently if content creators can push the needle to what Wizards is doing, where's my one drop? I'm not asking for the entire identity of the color pie to be changed. I just want like a good playable merfolk on turn 1. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for a whole lot here, people. I'm not asking a lot. Just give me the fucking card and I can stop whining about it. Every like tier 1 deck in all tribes, basically any like modern deck has a good 1-drop. What do you think Death Shadow is? Sure, you can't play it on turn 1, but for 1 mana is a beast. It's a beast. All right, Sith Throne says, any advice for people trying to find their forever deck? I love Modern, but I'm having trouble finding one deck to main. I've been deck jumping for years because I get bored. You know what? I think you're the type of person that you just don't dedicate yourself to a deck. You're not the only one out there. You're the type of person that you get bored of the deck. You get bored of the play patterns. You need to try something different here and there. And that's okay. That's totally okay. I know so many people like yourself, but I guess you just have to keep, if you keep jumping, like my suggestion would be to play as many decks as possible to get like a good idea of what you think speaks to you the most. But if you don't find that, then it's just because you are the type of person that jumps around all the time. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. There's a lot of people out there. I would say I'm one of the more rare breeds that can dedicate themselves to something. But if you look at the pro players, the pro players are just playing whatever because it's the most powerful deck. But most people can't dedicate themselves to a single deck, or they don't want to. But continue the hunt, or just just find complacency and trying out new stuff because that's what you like. For me, I can play the same deck over and over again, and I don't get bored. Champion of the Parish 2.0 coming? Oh my god, I hope not. If there's Champion of the Parish 2.0 coming, humans tier 0. Humans tier 0. Alexandro Rosales. I just want fun stuff for white because mono white and mono green are hella boring in EDH. Then play a commander that's not mono white. And maybe that's hard. Maybe that's not fair to say because there might be some mono white. There might be white commanders that you want to play, but you can't build a deck around it because there's just not enough to offer. But I mean, that's the point of adding like different colors, splashing colors for the tools that you want from other color pies. Basketball says, I disagree. Red deck wins is a phrase for a reason. Yeah, but it's mostly for standard. It's not red deck wins outside of standard. Like red deck wins is, yeah, that's a standard archetype. So when the card pool, that's why I said Pioneer, Modern, Legacy. I didn't say anything about standard because in standard we see all sorts of monocolor decks become competitive: mono black, mono green, mono blue, mono white, mono red. And red deck wins has, it's got its name because generally speaking, once every few years, there is a mono red deck with really fast creatures and burn spells, and boom, red deck wins. But it doesn't apply outside of standard. Not always, at least. Ethan asked, Nikachu, can we get an updated Merfolk tech video? You got to be more specific than that. You mean like toolbox deck? I do one like once a year. Or maybe you need to see my alternate YouTube channel with all the Merfolk gameplay, but I'm pretty sure you know about that. So can blue get a better counterspell? Well, you know what? I don't necessarily want blue counterspells. Like, I think there's a lot pushed in the direction of counterspells. Like, we have millions of counterspells. We have more or less the fact that we got Force Negation makes me quite satisfied with our counterspell suite at the moment. But I want blue to move in another direction. I don't want so many of these mill cards, these instant cards that give creatures -3, -0, or creatures that enter the battlefield give target creature -3, -0. Blue's identity is a bit awkward right now. Or like, creatures that come into play and bounce the opponent's creatures aren't pushed very much whatsoever. Usually like taps it, which is not really the same thing. Or it taps it and the creature's just like a pathetic grizzly bear or something like that. I think blue needs like a different identity. They need to change something. They need to move it in another direction. And maybe we are seeing a little bit of that. They're giving us some exile effects. Oh, Salute is pooping. I was like, what's going on behind me? So they're giving blue some like exile effects. So maybe they're slowly moving the needle. Maybe blue's going to look very different 2 years from now. Hoax asks, so what is the lesson? Complain like crazy and we'll get our fish one drop. That's right. I need enough influence, though. We need to get to 100,000 subscribers, everyone. We need to get to 100K. And then we're going to demand the blue one drop. Blue, what is our slogan? Blue one drop. Drop our one blue. I don't know. Drop the one beat. I can't tell. Is Curse Catcher good? No, it's not good because it taxes for one for and it barely taxes any spells. The spells these days in Modern and Legacy, they're all one drops. So like you're not slowing them down whatsoever. They can play around it easily. Like if they don't have the mana to play around it, they'll play a creature and then they'll play their spell the next turn. Usually doesn't slow anyone down. Corby, do you think there will be a Phyrexian tribal deck viable in the future now that this is a real creature type? Possibly. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, so if it's official creature type and you can only assume that they're going to make Phyrexian creatures in the future. It's possible, but I mean, it all depends on how pushed that they can make them and how many lords. Lords matter as well. Well, maybe not always. I mean, we have Eldrazi Tron. I could consider that a tribal deck, and they don't have lords. They just have a bunch of big, beefy, powerful creatures. Could you describe your ideal but not OP one-drop Merfolk? Champion of the Parish Merfolk. Champion of the Parish. Or I don't know. It's an unsummon on a Merfolk. That's possible too. I'm not sure what I want. Even a Mausoleum Wanderer type of creature would be good. Gerald Jacobs, is Birds of Paradise / Noble an okay replacement for Simian Spirit Guide in an Abzan, Sorin, Imperious Bloodlord, Morophon, Slivers combo deck? I have no idea. Can't answer that one for you. Sorry. Probably not. I want to say no. I would say get a not a Clue Stone. Damn it! What are those stupid mana rocks? Probably our mana rock is better than a creature. Do you have a commander deck? If so, what is it? Asked Benji. I do. I have a Thassa. It's not on me. I put it away. I have a Thassa God of the Sea commander deck. Mono blue forever. I want a mono white mana leak. Oh god. They're taking all our stuff. They're taking all our stuff. Heath says, bring back flood counters, mono blue land destruction. That is an old school thing. Yes, we're going to flood things out. We're going to put that flood counter on. It's an island. That is a way of attacking. Turn all the opponent's lands into islands. But that's probably the type of mechanic that's really unfun and people hate. Like, they really toned the land destruction down in this game. There used to be, like, back in the day, it's funny, back in the day, it was all about, like, cards that ruined people's resources. All right, you have cards, discard all of them. What were some hand discard spells? Hymn to Turok, for example. Yeah, I didn't think about that. In, like, the old school Magic was about tons of card draw, tons of mana, or fighting all of that with, like, land destruction and blow this Armageddon this and wasteland that. It was just like a fight over your resources. And the game's not fun when it's about that, because if you have no resources, you don't play the game at all. And you've seen Magic, like, completely, like, very strongly move away from that stuff. They've completely turned away from that stuff. So I don't think we're going to have flood counters come back. What is your favorite basic forest art post 8 edition? Putting me on the spot here. Post 8 edition. I don't know. I got to think about that one. Honestly, I don't think I've really thought about my favorite forest all that much. I've thought of my favorite swamp, my favorite plains, my favorite island. I do have a favorite mountain. Yeah, that's funny. This is the only land I didn't really think about like a favorite for. We are here for blue. There we go. That's a slogan that we could use. Could you play Wind Robber because there is no more Uro? Nope. There's still a lot of graveyard synergy decks. Like, you know, if you're up against a Tarmogoyf, you're not going to want to play against that. If you're up against Croxy, you're not going to want to play that. So Wind Robber is a creature when you attack it, like mills the opponent a card. Not good for us. It's a negative free roll. If we're up against someone who uses the graveyard, we're fucked. We're in trouble. Ooh, Gilded Drake Merfolk. That's interesting. Just make it 3 mana, and it would get around the reserved list. Because right now, the Gilded Drake... Or maybe a crappier Gilded Drake. Oh, no. Or maybe you got to make a better Gilded Drake for 2 mana, right? Because your opponent gets it. So like a 2 mana 5/5 and you exchange. That's something that is possible. Like, they can print reserve list cards so long as it's worse. Like, strictly worse than the original version. Just getting in. Where is the music? We were watching a video earlier. Thank you, ZG. Yeah, where is our music? What do we want? A blue 1-drop. Where do we want it? On a Merfolk. Would you play Siren Storm Tamer if it was a fish? Yes! I would do that. If that was so... That was an Ixalan block. That was so close to what we would have wanted. It would be great. It would be great. It would protect our larger creatures. It'd protect us from a lot of spells. It would have been perfect. I would have totally accepted that. And if it still had flying, that's a bonus. Ellie up. Could the new tribal birthing pod create a tribal toolbox creature deck for 2 activations? Seems like a missed opportunity. Well, I mean, that's what we're waiting on. The closest so far has been goblins. Aspiring Spike did very well with a goblin tribal deck using the Pyre of Heroes, which is the new birthing pod. So here's Pyre of Heroes. And so far there is and Goblins is a combo deck in general. So far that has been the most successful combo deck available. But I don't know if anything else is available. Zap asks, would a 1-drop 1/1 Merfolk that sacrifices itself to bounce a creature good? Probably. I don't know, but probably. I'm not sure though, because bouncing my own creature in response to removal does not seem like good value. I used to think that was good, but what I'd end up doing is I'm still trading 1-for-1 with my opponent, and I'm at a tempo loss because I saved my favorite creature. Ugly Hood Rat. Why do you still have Relic in the sideboard even after the Uro ban? Because I've always had Relic in my sideboard. Because there's always graveyard decks. If it's not Uro, it's Snapcaster Mage or Tarmogoyf or the modern metagame. Modern is a heavily graveyard-based format, so you gotta have graveyard hate. I mean, when did they leave? I've been playing with Relic in my sideboard since 2014. I had them in the main deck. Back in my day, I had Relic in my main deck. They're just in the sideboard now. But anyway, they're still definitely good. You're going to take them out and you're going to be up against Dredge and be like, oh, why did I take out my graveyard hate? This is silly. Tons of graveyard decks out there. They will be back. Don't skim on graveyard hate. You'll regret. Instant regret. I took out my relics and faced instant regret. David asks, I strongly feel a Splinter Twin unbanned in the coming months, or am I probably wrong? I have a feeling they're just not going to unban this card. It's just a feeling. You could probably unban the card. I don't think anyone would be happy about it, but you could unban Splinter Twin. But I just don't think they're going to do it. It's still not like a fun deck to play against. There's nothing fun about playing against Splinter Twin. It's constantly putting you in these situations where, well, if I don't develop my board, okay, if I don't tap out, I don't develop my board, and then the Splinter Twin player develops their board instead. But if I tap out, I could lose the Splinter Twin. And then the correct decision is tap out because you have no other way of winning the game. But it creates these super feel bad games when you lose. Fraser asked, did you see Nassif's mono blue Cosima deck with Time Warp? I heard about it, but I did not see it. I most definitely haven't seen it in action. But hopefully it's good. How do you think Vanifar is playable? Hesperos, I don't really think so. because it's a very clunky creature. What made Birthing Pod good? Look, let's get Vanifar. Vanifar is like the classic Birthing Pod replacement. So you have so this is Birthing Pod on a 4-drop, which if it had haste, it would be great, but it doesn't have haste. So what it is it's a clunky Birthing Pod, and it's a creature. So if it dies, you get nothing. You just absolutely get nothing. So I think this is just a very clunky card. A blue and a green and a 2/4 creature. I mean, it's big, it's relatively big butt, but still too clunky to have a toolbox built around this deck. Because you have to, you're going to get it out by turn 3 or generally turn 4, and then you got to wait a turn before you combo off. That's asking a lot. Vanifar's been in the deck, in the format for forever and has done absolutely nothing. CPAC, could you make a video to help value cards and trade in person with other people or friends? Could you explain that a little bit more? Could you make a video to help evaluate cards and trade in person with other people or friends? I mean, we could do a crash course right now. I mean, you want to get some decent ideas. DCG player is like a really good, the general pretty good barometer for, okay, let's look up Lord of Atlantis. Now remember, like, one card is not the same as the other, so make sure you have the right card. There's a lot of different Lord of Atlantises. So let's take a look at the time-shifted one. So if you want to get some idea of what the card's value is, okay, this card, I don't really pay attention to this price. I don't like looking at the price. I want to see how many copies are available. So for example, if there's, and also what's the condition? So there's a lot at like, there's actually only one at $5.99. So to say that its value is $5.99 is a bit sketchy. And it says lightly play. They're like mostly at, oh no, they're around the $6 mark. But if there was like 10 of them at $6, I could easily say, okay, this is definitely a $6 card. If only one person is selling it for $6, you know what? I've bought cards online. If one person is selling it way lower than everybody else, you're usually going to get what you paid for. Like the condition's going to be like a little bit janky, or like, I don't know, the center is off. Like there's something wrong here. So I try to look at the average of what like everything is. You also have to consider like the condition. Like the lowest near mint so far we see is $8. Why is it like the prices are price and it's based on price and shipping? Okay, that's fine. So the cheapest we see here is like $8. Shipping can affect it too, because someone might have a lower cost because they know their shipping is higher. So always consider shipping as well. So this says $8, but it's not $8. It's plus the $2.49. So actually the cost of the card is like $10.50 basically. So it gives you like a general idea, and you have to look at like the condition. Like near mints are going to have a different, look at this. You have moderately plays, light plays, moderately plays. So you have to make sure you compare it properly. What else? Next thing, if you like sell to a store, they're going to take like 60% or 60 or 65% of the value. And that's like the trade you have to make. They're willing to take tons of cards from you, but they need to resell them at market price. So they're only going to give you something between like 50 to 70% of the value, pending the card and pending the condition as well. But when you're trading with friends, you obviously that doesn't matter. You're just going to trade for like as much equal value as possible. I don't know if maybe anyone else has anything else to add to that. No one has anything else to add about trading? Trading is a lost art. People usually just sell the cards online. Selling for money is good. Or sell to like the store. Anyway, I hope that helps a little bit. I have no intention of making like a video about it. I think Tolarian Community College has maybe some video about like trading cards and selling them. So maybe you have to look that up. But I hope that little, I don't know, little crash course is value to you somehow. How about a Merfolk 1-drop, additional cost, reveal a Merfolk or pay 2, then ETB bounce a creature? That might be OP. 1-drop bounce whatever you have? That sounds actually pretty damn strong. Dredge will come for us all if people don't have Relic or similar? Absolutely. Well, I mean, what will happen is no one will have Relic and Dredge will just take over. Spencer Ward with a suggestion. What about a blue 1/1 pay 4 tap a Merfolk counter target spell? Too clunky. It's got to be effective in the earlier portions of the games, not the later portions of the games. Jeremenko says Wizards make more cephalids, merfolk, octopuses, and krakens. I want to make modern sashimi pile forever, and somehow give a synergy amongst all of them. What's your favorite legacy deck? Why? Maybe my favorite legacy deck was Bug Delver when Deathrite Shaman was legal. I had a lot of fun playing that deck. I bought into that deck. And I only started playing Merfolk in Legacy because I played Merfolk in Modern. Decks are somewhat similar, but not really. Why is Cozy's Trickster worse than Biomancer? Because you can't guarantee that your opponents are going to fetch, or they're going to play their fetch lands early. You can't guarantee it at all. So you have a 1-drop like really early where at least you have some option of buffing up your Biomancer on turns 2, 3, and 4. Oh, look at that. 7912 TV. Daily reminder that I love you, Nikachu. I love you as well. I love all of you. Thanks for showing up every single day. An unban on Umezawa's Jite. I think we can unban this card. I don't know if they'll ever unban the card. Ben Golan, how is the Merfolk matchup versus Blue-White? I want to pick it up because you said it grinds for every win, but my meta at my local game store is half Blue-White, so I need to know. If you want to beat Blue-White, you can crush it with Merfolk. You can build the deck to beat it with enough counter spells, with enough creature lands, with enough. You like 4 Cavernous Souls by itself can be a beating sometimes as well. So if you really want to beat, you need to tune the deck a little bit. If you want to like really obliterate them, like have an 80% win rate, but it's possible. It's like Merfolk is one of the better decks against Blue-White. Oh yeah, in Europe they use card market. So I mean, and that's very, very important because like if I were in Europe and then you look up prices on TCG Player, I guess maybe it doesn't matter too much, but like so long as you use the same website. But ideally, if you're in Europe, use card market instead of TCG Player. Fraser says, out of curiosity, why do you think Jeskai, Esper, and Brick's control were all non-existent in the last meta? I mean, what's valuable about Jeskai? Lightning Helix? So the deal is, like, in general, this is not entirely true because Aspiring Spike has made some good Jeskai decks, mostly off the back of things like Blood Sun. But the value of Lightning Helix is going to be valuable if there are targets for it. And if there are no targets for Lightning Helix, like, you're not going to accomplish much against Uro. And that's a big deal. Like, in the mirror, Jeskai sucks. I mean, it's just terrible. You've got these lightning bolts and these helixes that are just dead. What are you going to kill Omnath? What are you going to kill Uro? So you're at a massive card disadvantage. So, you know, I get a sense that Lightning Bolt and Lightning Helix in a Jeskai deck is only as good as their effectiveness against the metagame. And the metagame wasn't favorable. Like, it just didn't kill enough creatures. Papa Joe, why is it that the measuring stick for card value in Canada almost always face-to-face when they're overpriced in there? Everyone says everything's overpriced in Canada. I don't know, doesn't seem very overpriced to me. You have to do, I mean, first off, you do have to do a conversion. Second off, our taxes are a little bit higher. Third off, well, I don't know if you're looking at sealed product, but we're like the tax laws between Canada and the United States pushes the taxes up on sealed product that we buy from the United States from Wizards, and so our sealed product is much higher. But like, if you're saying that like face-to-face is overpriced, then like technically everything's overpriced, so it doesn't matter what you choose there. Or I mean, like you're still comparing things properly. Like a Black Lotus is still worth more than a Mox Jet, for example. Ugly Hood Rat. Master of Waves is really bad. Change my mind. Can't really change your mind. Still a pretty clunky card, but still useful against the slew of Burn and Prowess decks we're probably going to be facing soon. Is it in Soul? Still have room in Pioneer? Maybe. I mean, right now is a good time to try it out. they did a bunch of bannings in Pioneer, so now is a better time than ever to find out if it's good or if it can come back. Casper Soul, what do you think about a 1-drop Merfolk that gives all Merfolk Island Walk? Sounds unnecessary because my back end creatures I think want the Island Walk, not my front end creatures. Might be a problem. I prefer stuff that interacts with my opponent more at this point. I don't need more Island Walkers. EJ Style 7, I'm thinking about buying some cards for the Merfolk Toolbox. I have all the mainstay cards, but what cards do you recommend buying first? Chalice? You know what? Well, the first things you want to buy are the Merfolk creatures. Okay, I'll put it down this way. First up, get the Merfolk creatures. Second off, get the Ether Vials. Third, get some lands. Fourth, get Chalice. Fifth, get Force and Negation. It's my recommendation. All right. Oh, we got a super chat. Why didn't I see this? Why did I get no notification? Benjamin Cardenas with the super chat. Is Magic the Gathering Online... Oh, sorry. MTG N curve a good for casting cards on curve? What is this? Go. Oh, MTG on curve? What is this? Oh, MTG on curve calculator. Interesting. I've never heard of this before. So I guess you put in your deck list and then it gives you an idea how well you can curve out. I mean, it seems unnecessary. If you just put your cards into piles based on mana curve, you get some idea like what you can do. I will say this much. You should have about 11 1-drops in your deck if you want to reliably play something on turn 1. Somewhat reliably. I mean, the best is like have 14. But 11 is like a good barometer. If you go less than 11, then you're just going to find yourself less and less with having something to do on turn 1. Now, not every deck needs to do something on turn 1. But, you know, that's just like my loose guideline. And then you just have more of the other copies for every other turn. I'm sure it's fine. But I've never had to use something like this. I just eyeball it for the most part. Thanks for the super chat, Benjamin. I didn't miss any other super chats, did I? I didn't get a notification. I just scrolled down and saw the super chats. You guys see the super chat, but I don't. I gotta contact StreamYards. I don't see my super chat, or maybe I don't see my super chats on a certain... I have a question, Benjamin. Where are you streaming? Where are you watching the stream from? Are you watching it on Nikachu MTG or Nikachu MTG streams? There is one of these channels. I'm not getting a super chat notification. You deserve better, Benjamin. You deserve better. I'm gonna wait for your answer. I'm trying to find a correlation here. I mean, worst case scenario, I can open up my stream on 2 different... I can open up the I can open up my stream personally, and then I'll just see the super chat there. Okay, while I wait for your answer, Benjamin, I am waiting for it. Would love to know where you're watching from. You're watching on Nikachu MTG. Why is there such a problem? Why is there a problem at all? What the hell? Hold on, what if I maximize the screen here? Does that change anything? Where's my super chats? Because there's supposed to be a super chat notification at the top of what I'm seeing right now. Whatever, I'm gonna contact StreamYards. I'm gonna give them shits, and I'm gonna ask for a free subscription to StreamYards. Anyway, thank you very much. Thanks very much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Anyway, it's time for Decklist review. All right, let's get those Decklist reviews ready. So if you are new to the channel, go to my description. Go into the description. There is a link to my Discord. Go to the channel, Decklist review, and then enter the command, ! Review deck space. Give the URL to the decklist that you want reviewed and share it with us. I'll be happy to go over it with the community, and then we'll see if we can give you some great feedback on how to improve your deck. And as the deck lists start rolling in, we are going to thank our sponsors, starting off with FusionGamingOnline.com, my favorite local game store, where I buy all my paper Magic cards. You like paper Magic cards? I like paper Magic cards. I play a lot online, but I still play paper. I play paper Magic. I gotta get that paper crack. What is the deal of the week this week? It's still 15% off all Secret Lair singles and sealed product. So you want your serum, you want the Sand Serum Vision. Well, you can get Rick. That is Rick the Steadfast. That's like basically a reserve list card. They said they're not going to print any more Ricks. There's only one Rick, and that's it. Go to FusionGamingOnline.com and check out what they have available. And also, you can support the channel and get an additional 5% off when you purchase with discount code Nikachu at checkout. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. Definitely your one-stop place to play whatever you want in any format. Play any deck, any format, anytime. You want to try Pioneer, you want to try Modern. Everything's been shaken up. Try different decks, different formats, and play with whatever, and explore to your heart's content. You can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can save 15% off your first 3 months using my coupon code Nichu. Excellent. We have more super chats. People are trying to help me. How do you feel about Modern post Simeon ban? I think it's great. Like Simeon Spirit Guide did not do anything good for the format. I will say that. There's nothing good about Simeon Spirit Guide. All it's trying to do is cheat on mana. And while I understand there's a lot of decks that tried to play it fairly for a long time, but now we started getting into broken territory. So it was just ending up being it was going to end up being a BS card one way or another. It was already on the edge of being stupid. I made a video about how it's like already degenerate. Yeah, why don't I see the super chats? That's the idea of the super chat. You get bumped up ahead of everyone else. It's nonsense. If I update it, yeah, you can submit it again and it replaces your old submission. So you can submit it again if you updated it. Okay, I'm going to wait for Siege Sensei. And then we're going to get into it. Let's go! Natty Parader. Congratulations, you are the next contestant on Decklist Review. We've got Golgari. Classic Golgari. Oh, this is not classic Golgari. You fooled me. This is something completely different. Okay, we have Gravecrawler, Hex Drinker, a Snake, Scavenging Ooze, Scourge of the Skyclaves, Strangleroot Geist, Tarmogoyf, and Geralf's Messenger. So you have a little bit of synergy here with the Gravecrawler and the Geralf's Messenger. You know what? Even though this is very weak synergy, you don't have that many zombies in your deck, it's still not that bad. It's still not that bad. I mean, if you have 2 Gravecrawlers, you get that Messenger and Gravecrawler, I still think that's worth it. Just not very good on blocking duty. We have Bloodchief's Thirst. I don't know. Okay, we'll just go through the deck. Bloodchief's Thirst, Fatal Push, Inquisition, Thoughtseize, and Agadim's Awakening. We have Blooming Marsh, Forest, Marsh Flats, Nurturing Peatland, Overgrown Tomb, Swamp, Twilight Mire, and Verdant Catacombs. Are we not missing? No, we have Blooming Marsh here. Okay. 22 lands, fine. Pithing Needle, Veil of Summer, Collective Brutality, Collector Oof, Legion's End, Scavenging Ooze, Ashiok, Fulminator Mage, Maelstrom, Pulse, Plague, Engineer, Damnation. All right, so you got like that sort of like one of everything sideboard. Everything looks good. I would dump Hex Drinker. Hex Drinker is actually, I think, just a very overrated card. It sucks up more mana than you think. This card just doesn't work. It looks good. Like, don't get me wrong, it looks good. It looks like a great bomb late game play. But you know what? Scourge of the Skyclaves, Tarmogoyf are also going to be bomb late game plays as well. I mean, I really can't defend this card. It's very weak early game, and ideally you don't even want to go into the late game for the most part. I'm a huge fan of Maelstrom Pulse. So what do you guys think? No, sorry, Monster CC, no gameplay today. If you're playing Messenger, I kind of want to see Yawgmoth. That's not a bad suggestion, but we are at 22. That's maybe you can squeeze in 2. Maybe instead of 3 Hex Drinker, you have 2 Yawgmoth or something. I would just, honestly though, I would suggest having more Tarmogoyfs. go to 4 Tarmogoyfs instead of Hex Drinker. You have a lot of 1-drops between Bloodchief's Thirst, Fatal Push, Inquisition, Thoughtseize, and Gravecrawler. You're doing good on the 1-drops, in my opinion. This is very overrated. This is just this is a very overrated card. I know as Mythic, people are hyped for it. It just didn't work. It just soaks up too much mana and then it dies. If they need Assassin's Trophy, I guess they could go for it. Maybe they don't need Assassin's Trophy. Probably it's a good card. I don't know what to take out. You're definitely gunning for the creature-based decks. Nighthawk Scavenger? That's a possibility. But we might as well be at lower on the curve. Like, we're not maxed out on Tarmogoyfs. There's nothing wrong with Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf is still a good card, still strong. So I would replace Hex Drinker with more Tarmogoyfs. I don't mind the Strangleroot guys. You know what? We should have some Yawgmoths. You have Geralf's Messenger and Strangleroot Geist in this deck. I think this deck definitely deserves some Yawgmoths. So we could play it like 1 Yawgmoth, maybe take out... You have 23 lands, that's fine. Maybe take out 1 Bloodchief Thirst, because you have a lot of removal, and add add a second Yawgmoth, and then you have a combo between the 2 messengers, and you can get some good value out of your Strangleroot guy. Or is it this? Yeah, it has Undying, so you get some value out of your Strangleroot Geist. Because you can put a -1/-1 counter on it and draw cards, and then it has Undying again. Mitch with the super chat, and I got the notification. Mitch, where are you watching from? I'm gathering data. Mitch. I would love to see Modern return to fair decks like Abzan/Jund. Do you think now would be a good time to buy into Staples or wait for Modern Horizons 2? I think now is a good time to buy into Staples. The Staples are rising, people. The Staples are rising. So go to mtgstocks.com. Like, Staples are already on the up. You look at, like, Ethervile. Is Ethervile going up? I can't remember. I don't know if this is going to be a good example or not. You see, the Staples are already on their way. Oh, since April? So that's a staple that's already been going up. That one might not be a good example because it's so expensive already. How about... I don't want to look up the lands because they're about to get reprinted. Show getting hijacked at the end here with the super chats. Hold on, let me finish this off for a second. So this is basically all I have to say, because you have like a good balance of interaction. Your mana base is good. I just think this Hex Drinker is overrated. I know you have you love the concept of protection from everything and then like attack through, but I really just generally don't think that's good enough. It's just really clunky. You might want more Nurturing Peatlands, because I don't actually think your mana base has any value. Like, you're not playing with any creatures, so you might as well go up to 4 Nurturing Peatlands. So take out maybe the Twilight Mires. 4 Nurturing Peatlands should be good. I think that's where you want to be, because you have 20. You're gonna have 23 lands anyway. You have 23 lands anyway. I mean, this maybe is your only value land, because you're gonna flood out at 23 lands pretty often, or I should say 22. But that's all the and then so yeah, take out a Hex Drinker, take out a Bloodchief's Thirst, add 2 Yawgmoths. The Yawgmoth. Where is the Yawgmoth? There's a lot of Yawgmoth cards. Here's Yawgmoth. Boom. Remember, combos with 2 Geralf's Messengers in play. And good luck with that. Well, let's get back to Mitch was doing. I would love to see Modern return to fair decks. It is returning to fair decks. Saw a lot of fair decks. I don't know. Let's look up Stoneforge Mystic. Prices have been rising for a little while. Crazy. Okay, so here's the deal. So here's a good example of Stoneforge Mystic. It's bottomed, and now it's just slowly creeping up. Like, there's a lot of cards that have basically hit their bottom, and I think it's time to buy. Like, if you want to get into Modern, like, you don't want to buy up here. You want to buy like down here. What's some cards? Oh, Chalice of the Void. These cards aren't going to be garbage, people. See, a lot of these cards have bottomed, and they're gonna come back. Like, they're gonna come back. And maybe Chalice of the Void is being suppressed a little bit more because we know there's gonna be a reprint in what is the Time Spiral Remastered. So what is a good example of a card? Oh, Natty Pure. Oh, thank you very much for the $5 or the €5 for reviewing your deck. Good luck with the list. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm drawing a blank for cards. What's Cryptic Command going for? I think of random modern staples. See, everything is flattened. Everything's flat right now. So what do you want to do? You want to buy them now, or you want to buy your staples now, or you want to buy them when the cards like start moving back up in price? We're at like a super low point for all the cards. I don't know. Everyone, there's some there's a lot of people who are afraid of buying in to cards when, how do I put it? People don't know when the price goes back up. But like, if you look at the history here, people, I mean, this is like basically the bottom of Cryptic Command. So you just look at like the bottom, you look at the history of these prices and see, hey, is that a good price for you? In my opinion, like the staples are ready to be bought. If you don't have staples, get your staples, people. It's not going to get, I mean, it technically could get better, but historically, like, it's not going to get that much better. If, like, the prices go down by a little bit, it won't be a huge loss. And we know Modern is still going to be a very supported format in the future. Ugly Hood Rat with the £2. I know the difference between the pounds and the euros, people. Cold Eye Selkie combo with Merfolk Sovereign? No. Merfolk Sovereign, I don't, oh, yeah, you want, they're just too clunky. So Cold Eye Selkie is... Do you even need more Merfolk Sovereign? Oh no, hold on. It's based on the power, right? So here's a card that naturally has Island Walk, but it's 3 mana, and whenever it deals damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. You don't need Merfolk Sovereign though. It has Island Walk. Just play any random lords and use Spreading Seas. I don't think there's a point because Merfolk Sovereign is a lord that specifically gives creatures unblockable. But I'm not really a fan. You know what? If you're playing 3 mana, I would just play the other one. Was it Merfolk? No, it's not. It's not Cold Eye Selkie. It's a different Wistful Selkie. And it's Wishful? Is it Wishful? Some Merfolk Master. I think it's Wistful. Maybe I'm spelling Selkie wrong. Oh, I was spelling Selkie wrong. This is like a guaranteed card draw. Mana cost is hard, but I prefer the guaranteed card draw personally. I think it's too risky to pass the turn, hope to get something. Ben Golan with the super chat. Thank you very much for the $5. Hi, Nikachu. 13, so I didn't have the money. Did some chores. Wanted to say I love the content and streams. Helped me wake up every morning. Thank you. You're welcome, Ben. 13, you don't have the money, but you are giving me money. But you're welcome. So like, I hope everyone can start their morning right with coffee and MTG. Got to wake up in the morning for this show. Not allowed to sleep in, or unless you want to be part of it live, you got to be here. All right, let's get on with Decklist review. You're welcome, and thanks everyone for the super chats. Also, that's a nice age to start playing Magic. I mean, it's good and it's bad. The good part is that you're young enough to absorb a lot of concepts really quickly. The bad part is you're broke. I've been in that space. I want to play Magic, but I've got no money. You got to grind tournaments with like budget decks, basically. All right, we've got Massacre. Not Massacre, Massacre. Congratulations, you're the next contestant on Decklist review. Rune Flare Trap combo. Modern. All right, at least it's modern. Stormbreath Dragon. Is there some purpose to this card? Well, I'll quickly address this question. Damien asks, you said Wizards of the Coast might ban Teferi Time Raveler in Modern because it's unfun. Do you think the same could be said about Blood Moon, as it either wins you the game or on the spot or does nothing? You know what? Blood Moon is just institutionalized in Modern. No one actually, like, people don't like Blood Moon, but people are not really calling for Blood Moon's head. I actually think Blood Moon is safe in that regard. People just don't like Teferi Time Raveler. There are ways of playing around Blood Moon. The only way you can play around Teferi is like countering it or making sure you kill it on the crackback. All right, so this is a Jeskai deck with 1 Path to Exile and 2 Ghostly Prison. At least you have more white sideboard cards in the sideboard, because you got to justify that white. Oh no, you also have Teferi Time Raveler. Teferi Time Raveler. We were just talking about you, Teferi Time Raveler. Welcome. We were just talking about you. I hope Teferi didn't hear anything about what we just said about him getting banned. So Storm Breath Dragon, if you don't know, this is a classic 5 mana 4/4 Flying Haste Pro White, and with Monstrous. Whenever it becomes monstrous, it deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of cards in that player's hand, which sometimes can be nothing. But we got our Lightning Boomerang. That was unexpected. Vision Skins. Okay, so this is is there an explanation? Fuck. This is one of those days I wish I got an explanation for the combo. Okay, what does Rune Flare Trap do? 6 mana. If an opponent drew 3 or more cards this turn, you can pay a red rather than play Rune Flare's Trap's mana cost. Deals damage to target player equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. So you want to punish people for having cards in their hand. Vision Skins. Each player draws 2 cards. Okay, so you want to give them... Should there not be something like Howling Mine in here? Would that be a good card? Howling Mine? Oh, Cody, this is your deck? At the beginning of each player's end step, that player draws a card. If the player is your opponent and has 4 or more cards in hand, Fevered Visions deals 2 damage to his or her. At the beginning of each player's end step, that player draws a card. Okay, so this hurts them as well. Ghostly Prison. Why don't we have Howling Mine? Like, isn't that like the quintessential, like, make everyone draw cards card? I sort of like the Teferi. Maybe even Remand. Fraser Trotter with the super chat. Sorry if you repeated this, but do you think OG Misty Rainforest will dip significantly with Modern Horizons 2? I think it'll go down. I don't know what significantly means, but it might go down like 10%. Or more. I can't predict how much it will go down, because like the price of Misty Rainforest right now might be priced the way it is because people know that Misty Rainforest is getting reprinted, but we don't even know to the extent that it's getting reprinted. Like, they might not print that many Misty Rainforest, so it's hard to tell. Like, there might not be much Modern Horizons 2 supply, for example. The win condition is make your opponents die with their cards in hand. I will say this much. I think this is too fancy. Like, it's the only win condition. It's 7 mana to get Monstrous online. Your opponent can still kill it in response. I think this is a bit fancy. Jason Teferi is fine. Ghostly Prison is fine. Well, the plan versus aggro decks is to play Ghostly Prison. Then they have to pay 2 mana every single time they want to attack, and that puts them in a spot where, you know, you just bolt it or something. The one of Path to Exile seems very unnecessary. Well, you have a second one on the board. Okay, that's a little okay. What removal hits dragons? You got me there. Oh, it has pro white, so it can't even Path to Exile this thing. Can't Fatal Push, can't Path to Exile. Can only Blood Chief's Thirst at sorcery speed. Maybe it's better than I think. It just looks really clunky. Like, I was thinking about Howling Mine in a deck like this. At the beginning of each player's draw step, if Howling Mine is untapped. Oh, really? Is this one of those cards that needs to be untapped? That player draws an additional card? Is there any way to tap this Howling Mine in Modern? So it's just a one-sided effect? I didn't know that. Back in the day, your artifact needed to be untapped for it to do something. Okay, I'll give you some thoughts here. I know Ghostly Prison is not good with like this card draw stuff. So if you give your opponents more cards, they'll find more lands to get around Ghostly Prison, and you don't have that many Ghostly Prisons. You're very low on Ghostly Prison, in fact. Urza can tap the artifact. That fucking blows my mind right now. That is very interesting. That can turn this into a one-sided effect. I bet there's some deck out there that has not been discovered between Urza and Howling Mine. You can use Urza to tap the Howling Mine. That's right, John Joseph Carroll. Also, thanks for showing up on Facebook. I appreciate it. Got to represent on all social media platforms. That's so interesting. Anyway, that's a little off topic. Maybe we'll make a Howling Mine Urza deck one day. That's how CDH... We got to borrow ideas from CDH, apparently. We could learn a thing or two from them. Because Howling Mine is a powerful effect. It's just the problem is you give your opponents cards. So, okay, here's my thoughts. Ghostly Prison doesn't work so well with, like, even Howling Mine or Fevered Visions. Maybe it's still good enough because you need to slow your opponent down. But is this enough? So this deals damage to our player equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. If you make them draw enough cards, you can just burn them down. I think you should be more on the burn spells, to be honest. I think you should be like one less path, one more bolt, because you're like a weird burn deck. And I think you should be more involved on that aspect of this deck. And you could, instead of Path to Exile, you should be playing with like Lightning Helix. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to burn people down in a janky way, and you might as well use your support cards to help you get there. So instead of Boomerang, maybe you want to have something like maybe instead of Mana Leak, Lightning Helix, or I don't know which one of these should be Lightning Helix. And maybe instead of Visions skins, you have like Howling Mine, and each player just draws perpetually 2 cards a turn. So I think, same thing with Storm. Well, I don't know. Stormbreath Dragon might be pretty good eventually. If Stormbreath Dragon is good, maybe there should be a second one. You ever think of diversifying your Teferis, like one less and maybe one Hero of Dominaria? Boomerang hits lands for Tron. It hits lands for Tron, but you know what? You can't beat everything, and you might as well just lose to Tron. I don't know if you're going to have a good game against Tron, period. What's the trap condition? If the opponent drew 3 or more cards this turn, you may pay a red rather than pay rune. Oh, so you want Vision Skins to... Yeah, but what if you just have 2 Ghostly Prison? You have a Okay, imagine this. You have Howling Mine, Fevered Visions out, then you'll still trigger this anyway. You know what I mean? You just need a large enough density of these cards, and you'll be good to go. Instead of Boomerang, I would definitely go with what a lot of people said. It should be Brazen Borrower instead. Like, it's only good against you should only... I don't think you're gonna have that great of a game against Tron in the first place. I think they're gonna slaughter you anyway, in the grand scheme of things. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can tempo them out. But like, if you're spending 2 mana to like bounce their land, well, they just replay the land, and you're like, I don't think you're anywhere closer to winning or turning the tide. So I think you should have. I think you should experiment with Howling Mine, and maybe have 4 of these, because this is your win condition for the most part. Like, this is the actual win condition. Mana Denial is good idea if you are drawing them cards. Well, we're a red deck. We can play technically like Blood Moon. Oh, we time walk the opponent's draw is how Boomerang plays versus Tron. Okay, how many times can you Boomerang before you can't Boomerang anymore, though? You have literally 4 Boomerangs and no way of bringing them back. I totally understand that you like time walk them. I don't know if it's relevant. I don't see how it's going to be relevant though in this deck. I do understand the concept of, like, you know, if both players have a bunch of cards in hand, then the best resource that you can attack are the lands. So that's not a bad idea. This deck needs Mystic Sanctuary. It does, but it has no Mystic Sanctuary. Or it needs Snapcaster Mage. That is still a legal card. And Snapcaster Mage Boomerang is a thing. Maybe we need Snap. And also, if you have Snapcaster Mage, now you have more burn spells. So how about we remove... Ugh, I don't know what to remove here. Do we need Opt? Like, really, do we really need Opt? Oh, we don't have many things to do on turn 1, do we? We have so much card draw, I don't really see the value in Opt. But I do agree that we should have more things to do on turn 1. You punish the cards that are in their hand. So you can use... Okay, so can you do it fast enough? Maybe you can. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player... But you only deal 2 damage here. You really need to get Rune Flare Trap off. Cam says, is there a weird world where you can fit land destruction, or are you just trying to do too many things? Well, Boomerang is not like that too bad. And Boomerang plus, I think, Snapcaster Mage would be good. Truth be told, like, I need to see how this deck actually plays out. I see the idea. I think there should be more burn in this deck, though. Just so that you have the option to, okay, not only interact with people's creatures, but just burn the opponent's face down. You know, 2 Rune Flare traps to you, and then a bolt, and then it's victory. Remand does seem sort of loose, but it's a tempo. I can see it's also a tempo deck, so you're just trying to stall the game a little bit. You know, also Remand puts it back into their hand, which combos with the Fevered Visions and the Rune Flare trap. So that's why I don't really want to take out Remand. Like, I see the idea, and it will work. It stalks the opponent's hand of cards. Is there really nothing else close to Rune Flare Trap's power? Because Fevered Visions is sort of a poopy card. Okay, we need to make an executive decision. Let's remove maybe Opt for Snapcaster Mage. Remove Path for Lightning Bolt. Maybe the Mana Leaks go. We'll keep the Boomerang for all things that we discussed here. Maybe Ghostly Prison is overrated. I can see it, but like maybe you should just be like playing Teferis, bouncing stuff, and then playing your Fevered Visions and crap like that. I don't know how effective this is. If it's working for you, keep up with it. Keep doing it. Otherwise, maybe it could be like Lightning Helixes, for example. I still think this is a bit clunky. I can see it. It's indestructible, you know? It really is. It's not going to get Fatal Push. It's not going to get Path Exiled. Nothing's going to touch this, except for like 2 bolts. Unexpected Alliance. I don't know where we... Apparently it's not a card. Unexpected... Is this a card? Why Boomerang, not Brazen Bar? Because each side is drawing so many lands. Because each side is drawing so many cards, you can set your opponent back by bouncing the lands, and Brazen Borrower cannot bounce lands. Dreadborn Muse? Or Dread... I'm sure this is Dreadborn... Orb? Okay, I'm gonna put Dream Borb Muse. Oh, there's nothing. People, you gotta be slower when you're giving me names, because I have no idea what you're talking about. Is it Dreadboard Muse? Dreadboard... No. Did you mean Dreadboard Muse? I don't mean anything. Okay, I'm getting out of here. This is great. Thanks, Fish Fam. Okay, I have a question, though. What are you beating? What are you losing? That would be, like, really... That would be... have you played this deck before? Oh, Dreamborn Muse? Oh, this is fucking scary looking. I don't say that about many Magic cards. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player puts the top X cards of their library into their graveyard, where X is the number of cards in their hand. Oh, this is like... But this is like a mill card. You want to deal damage to them. I'm just curious, before we leave this deck... Well, actually, I should look at the mana base. We have Flooded Strand, Hollow Fountain, 3 Island, a Mountain, Mystic Gate. I'm low on Mystic Gate. Mystic Gate's not that great. You don't even have any double white spells in this deck, so I don't even see the point of Mystic Gate. It's just like Blood Moon, like, liable. You should have at least one Oh, is there no Jeskai Triome? Because I know there's not Triomes for everything. But I think there's a Jeskai Triome. So you should have at least one Triome in this deck. If you have Mystic Gate, this could be a Triome instead, because I don't see the Triome in here. Okay, so you can beat Control in mid-range, no game versus burn, or 1 to 2 CMC decks. Lightning Helix. That'll help you a lot. Lightning Helix it is. Get it. Squeeze those Lightning Helixes in there. It'll save you life. And the Snapcaster Mages. What the fuck do we gut? I would really just gut some of these Storm Breath Dragons. We get Snapcaster Mage instead of Opt. We can get remove some Mana Leaks for some of those Lightning Helixes. It will help a lot. And then maybe remove, if the Ghostly Prison's not helping you versus like aggro decks, then maybe this can be removed for more interaction, because it's obviously not doing any work for you. Anyway, I hope that's some useful feedback. Good luck with the list. It's a unique list. Very unique list. All right, everyone. That's it for Decklist review. That's it for Coffee and MTG. Thank you very much for making me a part of your daily routine. Remember, without all of you, I am nothing. I'm absolutely nothing. It's only because all of you show up every single weekday that we can make this possible. And remember, if I didn't get to your comments or questions, don't worry. We do this Mondays to Fridays, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Set your alarm. Set the notifications. Get the bell icon ticked and ringing. And be here for the conversation. Of course, if you love Coffee and MTG, you want to support the channel, there's a few ways you can do it. You can do it by becoming a sub at twitch.tv/NikachuMTG. If you have Amazon Prime, link your Prime account to Twitch, and you can support the channel for free. Also, you can become a patron on patreon.com/NikachuMTG, or you can join on YouTube. So thank you very much, everyone, showing up this morning. And as usual, keep brewing up that coffee, and we'll keep brewing up that magic. See you next time.